Hello, it's me again. Can't stay away these days, can I? So, today's topic, one of them at least, is trolls and what I am coining as the Triple Cripple syndrome. Now, it sprang to mind that trolls are ill. The reason why I say they're ill is because their minds are not functioning properly. They are venomous, they're angry, they're hurting. And whether they're hurting because they have an affliction which they hold great resentment for, a physical one, or whether they're hurting because they've suffered abuse. Many reasons. And so I'm going to be discussing the Triple Cripple syndrome. And so why I consider trolls to be crippled is because they're crippled inside. Now, first and foremost, well, it depends what order you want to take it in, but let's take the mind first of all. Their minds don't work properly. They're not properly functioning minds. They're not reasonable minds. They're not rationing minds. They carry a lot of programs, and maybe there is a deficit with the ability to think rationally. And so, whatever the case, their minds are crippled because they're not perceiving the world like most other people. Then, if you look at the heart, well, what's going on with the heart? The heart is the root of emotion, and the emotion behind the trolling is lots of things again: anger, fear, pain, resentment, trauma, all of these things and many more. They've suffered at some stage in their lives to such a degree whereby the heart doesn't function properly. The heart is the seat of love. It generates love. It enables one to feel love, yeah. I think we're all settled in that. And so if somebody can't experience love and devotion and give people support and have a deep-rooted inner standing of other people, then the heart is crippled. Thirdly on the list is the tongue. There's been so many occasions when I've had trolls, and because I like to psychoanalyse, when I got trolls, I would always initially give them the benefit of the doubt to express what it was they had a bone of contention with. Usually it's, you're a fucking pleb, you're a twat, you're a cunt, all this sort of stuff. And you go, here we go again. A person crying out to be loved. You see? And so I would say, well, do you want to express your feelings in a little bit more depth? Okay then, so, I mean, you're evidently not ready for hugs at this moment in time, even though you so desperately want them and need them. And so then you just go, well, there's no point in continuing with this. I don't want to, you know, partake on the same level. And so then you block. And then it's like, come back on another site, you know, they set up another YouTube site, and then it's like, you block me, or this, that and the other. Well, come and Skype with me then. Let's talk about it. No. I've never ever had a troll come and Skype with me. Why is that? Because the tongues are crippled. Why are the tongues crippled? Because whatever it is within the physiology, within the heart and in the mind, between the two of them, they can't send the correct and appropriate signals to the tongue. Maybe they are sending some appropriate signals to the tongue, but the tongue isn't able to deliver. You know, you get people with certain idiosyncrasies which are born out of anxiety, i.e. twitches or nervous coughs or stutters, all this sort of thing. Well, it's a similar thing when the tongue can't articulate. There's a reason why the tongue can't articulate, and it pertains to the heart and the mind. And so when you look at these deficits that people have, the initial response for most people is anger, resentment, to project back onto them that which they are projecting onto you. Well, what's happening there? Are you not being the same as them? And so what we should do is we should treat people with triple cripple syndrome just like we would treat people with any other deficit, like a physically handicapped person, a mentally handicapped person. You know, if someone is what? Pass the salt? You know, I'm being funny now, but we don't respond to them in the same mannerism and language, do we? You know, because that's our absurd level of mimicry, like I've just displayed. But I'm doing it in fun. But we wouldn't do it in reality. Why wouldn't you do it in reality? Because it's preposterous. These people need help. And so if they have mental impairments, physical impairments, then we have institutions for them, or we have assistance programs for them. And the vast majority of people will have a certain level of discernment for these people, and they'll go, oh, mentally handicapped, that bloke is. Oh, physically handicapped. You know, they need a little bit more consideration than you would give the average Joe in the street, because they're not going to be acting the same as most people due to their physical or mental handicap. So when we look at trolls then, trolls are just people that are hurting. They've been crippled inside. When they were very young, you know, we know the adage that if you are giving out hate, it's because, you know, you're feeling great pain. You want to cause a similar level of pain in other people because you don't have a rational application of what you're doing, but you don't want this pain in your mind and body. You want to get rid of it, and so therefore you want to offload it. And that's why you project it at any given opportunity onto anybody else. And so these people that troll, even if they're not a professional troll, and they listen to somebody saying something that they're not in agreement with, well, if we put our inquiring minds to work and we go, well, reading between the lines with this comment that this person has given, there's pain there. There's a great level of ignorance. There's fear there. They don't want to accept what you're saying because they find it fearful. If you look at people as to why people have fears, then it's because they have been affected by something long ago which their ego has took great exception to. And the ego has created a defense mechanism, And the defence mechanism, in many instances, is denial. And so they deny anything remotely which is going to be touching on their pain. And so if you mention something which touches on their pain, even unconsciously as far as they're concerned, you're going to be pushing a button on their program, and that program is going to have a reaction, and instantly you're going to get the reaction. And so shouldn't we really be treating trolls like triple cripples? Shouldn't we be giving them 3 times the love and assistance that we do anybody else? Because after all, they have 3 major disabilities. Now you may think I'm being funny, and you may think like what I'm saying is ridiculous, but if you look into it, it isn't ridiculous at all. It's just because maybe you haven't heard of it before, the way in which I'm displaying this. And I'm being a little bit funny, aren't I? You know, triple cripple. To coin a phrase like that, uh-oh, we've got a triple cripple. So we're having a bit of a laugh. We're taking it light-heartedly because we shouldn't take it so seriously whereby we take offence. Because if we take offence, then we have to look at the deficit within us. Hang on! Where am I crippled? You know, must be crippled somewhere. Otherwise, why would I be touched? Why would my programs be touched? If they say something to us, and we have a reaction, which gets us all out of sorts with ourselves, and we want to start firing back everything that we've got, then aren't they doing us a favour? They're doing us a great favour, because they're giving us the opportunity to look at the deficit within us. Rachel and I, we were having a conversation. I'm going to be putting this conversation up. It comes in 2 parts. And we were talking about trolls and a little bit of the mindset behind them. And so, you know, she said that in relation to trolls, well, they've helped her considerably. And I say so, also, yeah, I concur. They've helped me also, because if you can't glean anything from them, if you can't learn something about yourself from them, if there is no truth whatsoever in what they say, you see, what I always do when somebody has a go at me, I look at what they're saying and I ask myself, is there any truth in that, Aaron? I mean, when people have banged on about my ego in the past, I go, yeah, I'll accept it. And I'll do videos about it and I'll explain my perspective on ego in general and my perspective on my ego. So you can all be privy to the way in which I'm thinking and the way in which my ego is in operation. See? And so I said to Rachel that trolls are of more benefit to this world, to the internet community, than people who say nothing. Of what benefit is a person that doesn't make any comment? No benefit at all. Nobody can glean anything. Nobody can share anything with you. Nobody can appreciate you. Nobody can troll you, which is one of the main reasons people don't make comments, because you're too fear-based. Because you see trolls and they terrify you. Would you have the same attitude if you was in an institution with mentally handicapped people? Granted, they may scare you because they're unpredictable and you don't really know what they're going to be doing. And so you wouldn't want to be left in a room with them alone. You're going to be thinking, what's this guy going to do? Or what's this woman going to do? No, I need protection. The protection is that you need knowledge about them. And so the protection then, in relation to a troll, is that we need knowledge about them, and how we acquire the knowledge is via looking into psychology. And when you look into psychology, then you start to see all the facets of the human mind and how the mind portrays pain in the form of hate and fear. And so, shouldn't we begin to have some sort of a procedure with trolls whereby we are more accepting of them? You see, Rachel's got a good policy, and she says she just gives love back. Just give them love, because then they don't know what to do. They can't deal with that. They've never known it. This is it, you see. Trolls, for the greater part, they're unloved. Because if they were loved, they'd be much more settled. They'd be much more... What would they be? Many things more. They'd be settled. They'd be content. They'd be more open-minded. Because they've got value. They're loved. Somebody loves them. Makes them feel good. And when they're loved, it makes them want to love other people. But if nobody loves them, nobody hugs them, then, of course, there's a great propensity for them to feel smited by the world and have resentment for the world. And then they want to project their pain onto the world. And so if we want to heal the world, if we want a better world, then I think that in time it will come about on the internet, on YouTube or on Facebook and Twitter and all these sort of things. We need, and in actual fact, I think quite possibly that in the not too distant future there will be a new listing in the DSM, the Diagnostics and Symptoms Manual, which is the Bible for psychiatrists. Trolls, it will say, internet trolls, and they will possibly have some sort of medication for them, because that's all psychiatrists do, they only medicate. Ideally, we want papers writing about trolls and issuing to psychologists. So if somebody is trolling, somebody might want to say, you can get help with that, you know. Because we're not being funny, trolls, but you need help, you need love, you need somebody to help you get a resolve on the things that have caused you great distress and pain. And so, trolling has become a phenomenon on the internet now. And it needs addressing. And it needs addressing in a reasonable way and in a caring way, because trolls are members of society, they are members of families, they probably have families of their own, and they bury and negate their pain. Often they must take it out on their families and their friends, because that resentment and pain and anger is always going to come out, it's always going to make manifest. And so maybe as an outlet, as some sort of a relief and a release, people come onto the internet to get their fix. It's like people, you know, going to the gym and, you know, if people have got loads of energy, sometimes, you know, when I was younger and I'd be being leery around the house and Owen Dawes would say to me, are you going to go to the gym? You're a bit hyper. And so I'd go to the gym and then I'd come back and I'd be more calm. You see? And so when these trolls have had their good fix of trolling, maybe they're more calmer. Maybe they're more satiated. Because it's like, yeah, I've made other people feel like shit, like me. And then they can feel better about themselves because they've offloaded some of it. So just a consideration there in relation to these trolls. They are triple cripples. They have a triple deficit. They need to work on their deficits, and they can work on these deficits by studying psychology, by taking therapy, by talking to people, because one of their deficits, one of the regions where they're crippled is their tongue. And probably one of the reasons why they're so like this inside, because they can't convey it, you see. And what I've come to understand about a great many people since I've been doing this YouTube thing, how many people, how many of their tongues are crippled? Their minds, their hearts, maybe in reasonable good shape. They're not entirely in good shape, because if they were, then this wouldn't be in such a bad shape. You see? But maybe their hearts are not so black and their minds are not so confused and full of pain that they can write something. And lots of my viewers say, I've been watching your videos since the beginning, Aaron. And I know you're always banging on about, come forward and communicate and this, but, I don't know what to say. And so they'll write to me this when something I say moves them. When I am displaying my disappointment in the amount of interaction that I get. And I'm saying, well, look, what I want, what I've always wanted from this, and what I try to do through the Ascending, Awaken, Brave, is to get people who can be open-hearted, they can be loose-tongued, and they can think broadly. And these three things are really quite a rare commodity, aren't they? How many people can come in front of people and speak openly, fluidly? Very few. And so how many people in comparison are drawn to YouTube watching people do this? I look at this and I go, when people say we're all equal, yeah, but some are more equal than others, evidently. And so, finally, what I will say to any of you, trolls or non-trolls, if you can't speak freely, that's something you need to look at. And for those of you who are looking for self-help, looking to free yourself, then I would think that's one of the first steps, to begin to articulate how you feel. Because when you articulate, even to family and friends, that's okay, but it's still in a real comfort zone, isn't it? And you say to them, don't tell anybody. Oh, I won't. But if you can speak freely to the world, then I would think that you'd be well on your way to being healed. And so, you look at speaking freely, but to be able to do that, then you have to look rationally at why you can't do that. What is it in me that makes me want to cause people stress? Why do I want to inflict my pain on them? If I don't agree with what they're saying, okay. Why can't I have the resignation that it's freedom of speech? We're all entitled to our own opinions. They have one because they've lived a completely different life to me. That's how they see it. I don't see it like that. Why do I want to spit venom? Why do I want to close them down? Isn't this what we're fighting against? We want freedom of speech, don't we? And you see, the trolls, it's like they are agents of the state. Because in lots of instances, they do a very fine job of closing down freedom of speech. Because so many people are afraid of saying something which is outside of the herd mentality. Rachel says to me, she says, come and look at the comments on my site in relation to our videos. I say, don't want to. What do you mean you don't want to? Come on, cranky. Come and look at the site. There's some good comments on there. I'm like, all right. Show me how you do it. So she showed me how I did it, because on my phone, it was a freaking nightmare as usual. So I looked down about 20 comments. And I'm like... And then I sent her back a message. I said, I've looked. I won't be looking again. There's nothing for me in that level of mediocrity. I'm tired of mediocrity. I want people that say something. I said in one of my videos the other day, I don't care for opinions. That isn't to say that I don't care to listen to people's experience. It's very different. What I want is, I want to listen to people's experience. I want to listen to their hearts. I don't want to listen to their opinions, because their opinions are not their own, invariably. They are opinions that you can pick out the air at any given time. They're all around us. Oh, I'll pick that one, I've heard it before. That's my opinion. Really? And so this is why I can't get involved. And even if there is the odd comment for 3 lines that said, yeah, I really appreciate what you guys are saying. All right. What does that mean? Doesn't mean nothing. Because if you wait a little longer and you put a video up that they're not in agreement with, then it's like, I'm not in agreement with anything you say. I had the wrong idea about you. I don't like you now. Why? Because I've touched on your programs. And so I go, you know, I've seen it too many times. I'm not interested. You guys on my channel, you're the ones that know me. You're the ones that have known me a long time. And I appreciate your comments. Because you've took the time to listen to me. And some of you I've spoken with. And some of you, if I've not spoke with you, then I've been in this text relationship with you for some time. Okay. It's like I'm giving therapy and I'm waiting. Someday when I've said enough, you'll get some sort of healing gone on. And you'll say to yourself, I feel healed enough now. I'm brave enough to be able to vocalise my thoughts. And lots of people on the old sites, they came forward on Skype, didn't they? And they all said, ooh, I was terrified. It took me a long time. Even Rachel, it took her 6 months. Probably even about a year. We've been in a relationship now about a year, but it took about a year before she would take my invitation to come to speak. And you see how articulate Rachel is. And you see how her mind is. And you see what she looks like. You would think that there's no reason whatsoever why she wouldn't want to do that. But there was a reason. And you know, we all have our reasons. But if we do it, then we will see that invariably we will discover that those reasons were erroneous. They were our fear. They were fear. Fear manipulating our ego, which in turn was manipulating the joy and the expanse that we can derive out of this world. And so you see how fear closes us down and restricts the amount of things that we can do, the amount of experiences that we can have. And the way the world's going at this moment in time is closing everybody down. So nobody can have any experience over and above anybody else. Because if they do, they can't talk about it. Because nobody else will know what they're on about. And they'll go, you've had that experience. I don't want that experience. They've told me not to have that experience. You've had that experience. We have to experience and be free and just say stuff. How much stuff have I said? I've said some stuff which some people would deem to be horrendous. They've really been offended by it. And most of them have gone away. The ones that haven't gone away have stepped beside themselves and they've looked at themselves because they've took something on board which I've been conveying about the ego and about the fear and about the knee-jerk reactions, about don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and how you have to listen, really listen, and how you have to be open-minded and open-hearted and all this stuff. It's all about self-actualization. And so I would consider that the vast majority of people now, you, the viewers, looking in on me, my regulars, have these attributes. You are more self-actualized than most. Some of you still have some work to do. You need to learn more before you feel comfortable with engaging with me. I appreciate that. And I will confess that there were times when I would look at people on YouTube and I would go, holy shit, that guy knows a lot of stuff. Could I engage with him? Not on that subject. So I appreciate that. And even with people now, there's lots of people that are very well read in particular regions and they've got a lot of experience, but now I have the confidence whereby I could engage with them because I have a lot of experience in other areas. And if somebody knows a shitload of stuff about one particular subject and they can parrot fashion all this stuff and they're very good at articulating la-di-da-di-da, I would engage with them on a facet that they're not too familiar with, to even out the level playing ground, you see. And I would engage with them as to why they're thinking that. Why do they think that is? Can you help me understand a little bit more why that is so? And so you get them thinking then, and then they're outside their comfort zone, you see. So you just even it out. And so if any of you wanted to even anything out with me, you choose a subject that you're familiar with and you know a lot about it, and then I can ask you about it because I'll be interested in a broad range of subjects which pertain to psychology, philosophy, spiritualism, psychedelics, whatever. You know, I like to do this. And so, anyway, as usual, I've meandered around this subject and I've digressed and deviated, but invariably I come back to a summary or conclusion. And the conclusion summary is that we should consider the trolls in another way. You know, exercise our cognizance and look at these people from the vantage point of a therapist, of a doctor, of a physician, because they need help, yeah? Have a great day, people.